Many of the videos I post are to help the average golfer realize that getting close to or breaking 80 does not require extreme skill or any kind of magic. So here is another video at Copetown Woods where I can safely say this is one of the wildest finishes that I've had in any of these videos where I'm attempting to break 80. This is the opening hole, which is a par 5, and I just use a 5-wood off the tee because there's a bunker about 260 yards in the middle of the fairway that's just not worth risking. Unfortunately, by being in the left rough here, I didn't do a really good job trying to draw around the 6-iron, and I ended up spraying it even further left. And you can see I had a really interesting choice here because I could try and go over top of this tree and get really aggressive going for the flag, but this is the opening hole, so I decided to stick a little bit right, and I'm glad I did because you can see the little branches moving there because I didn't get under it enough to actually even clear the tree, but because I played it safe off to the right hand side, it just missed the green right on the fringe there. I don't have the world's greatest lag putt, but I do leave about a 3-footer to just tap in the par, and that's a nice good start. And for the next tee shot, I have the 5-wood in hand again, and I decided to put a swing tracer on it, not just a ball tracer, because you can see how far inside I take that on the takeaway, and that's not ideally what you want to do. So that was a really big snap hook, but thankfully because I played it safe with the 5-wood, I ended up short of the water, so I have an approach onto the green that with a little bit of encouragement, it actually bounced up on there, and I am pin high. If you have seen any of my videos before, you might notice that I now have a new putter. This is a really awesome putter that I've added to my bag. This is the Odyssey Jailbird. I'm trying to do a much better job of lining up my putts in the last few rounds, and this square-to-square putter has been an absolute game changer for me. And I just lag that putt up nice and close, easy tap in par, and I am even through 2. I have another really snappy 5-wood off the tee here, and that's not really normal for me. It's one of my most reliable clubs, but some days you have it and some days you don't. The good thing is, if you're trying to break 80, you just need to ensure that you keep that ball in play. So even when I don't have great tee shots, if you have that driver put aside, you're going to really limit your misses, and sometimes that's all you need. Especially on a par 4 like this, where it's not very long, my approach shot misses off to the left of the green, and I need to rely on a short game here, which I have a pretty good pitch up, and this is another example of why this new putter is just money. I mean, I got really lucky. If you could see, that ball went almost around the entire hole, but that's a nice little 1-putt, and I have maintained an even score through 3. Now, as I said at the beginning of this video, you do not need major skill or magic to break 80, and you can see that my rounds are full of shots like this. I just sprayed that tee shot way off to the left. It's a par 3 that I should easily be able to get on a green of this size, but it was just off to the right ridge there. I had a chip on, a chance to save another par with a really nice putt, but I pushed that a little bit off to the left, and I just have to tap in the bogey here. So it's the first bogey of the day, but one thing you're going to notice when we get to the end of the video is that I actually thought I took a bogey on the second hole. So in my mind, I am +2 through 4, and I'm really trying to now dial in here. I went right back to the 5-wood again and finally hit that one perfectly. That's the shape that I love to have, just a little baby draw on it, and I'm right in the center of the fairway. And if you notice, I haven't touched driver once today. So if you are trying to break 80 and you are just an average golfer, please remember, it is not always about distance. Yes, there are many statistics that will lead you to believe that if you can drive it further and in the rough, you're going to be better off than being in the fairway a little bit further back. But I just don't necessarily believe that to be true of the average golfer. If you feel that your distance is the thing that's holding you back, what you might want to do is take a look at the tees that you're playing off of. In this round, I'm just playing off the white tees because I know that I'm not trying to chase distance. I'm just trying to have a nice, calm, smooth round. And you can see I finally hit a driver for the first time and it just missed the fairway. But thankfully I have a really good approach here from the left rough. And I am showing this putt from one of my playing partners because he was on almost the exact same line that I was. You can see that my putt was just a bit further inside his. And one of the things you want to make sure you're doing is take advantage of these very rare gifts we get. When you get a read off somebody, you take advantage of that. And I tap in that first birdie of the day, and now I'm even through 6. Although remember, in my mind, I think I'm +1 now. I have a par 3 coming up here that a nice smooth swing. I just probably clubbed up one too many here. It goes off to the back of the green. A very delicate pitch on, and this ball just kind of runs away. Unfortunately, I didn't feel like going back and changing where the camera was placed, but you can see that that putt comes in from another good distance that I make that putt, and thank you, Odyssey Jailbird. But as smooth as this round is going, I'm about to remind you why golf is so freaking hard. I have a really nice shot off the tee here, but this pin is tucked back, and instead of me being smart and just playing off to the middle of the green where there's more room to miss, I was feeling really confident. I got too aggressive and just sailed that thing straight over the flag. And then I exacerbate problems by not being able to chip on with the first attempt or the second attempt. So that is now just starting to spiral my brain because I'm thinking, wow, how am I letting such a nice clean round be evaporated by one bad hole? But this is what's important to remember is that my bad hole could have just been a bogey, but because I was trying to get too cute with that first chip, this bad hole became a triple bogey. So in my mind, I'm now +4 after having a really good first 7 holes. And now I'm getting a little bit frustrated. I spray that tee shot with the drive off to the left. I end up coming up short, hitting out of this little fescue here, and then I did not want to do what I did with the last chip, so I get too aggressive with this one and send it well past the hole. So after 2 putting here for a bogey, that is now 4 strokes that I've added to my score on the last 2 holes alone, and you certainly don't want to do that if you're trying to break 80. So I tried to shake it off, but I had a really bad tee shot here to start the back 9. I ended up having to drop because it was just off in this little pond to the right of me. So now I'm hitting my 3rd shot into this par 5. It ends up being a little bit short of the green, and I have to come out of this bunker. It is not a good bunker shot because I, again, just did not do the smart thing and just get anywhere on the green. I was trying to hit the near perfect shot, which is really hard to do. And then this chip sails past that hole. So this is now 3 straight holes where I'm just getting frustrated. It's never good when you need to move the camera from your original positioning. I just missed the putt here, and that is a double bogey. So all of a sudden, I am +6 through 10, and breaking 80, which seemed really easy at the start here, is now going to be a significant challenge. This is going to require me to really focus and try and dial in, but I have another bogey here because I left this putt way too far away on the initial lag putt, and now I am +7 through 11. So I decided to put the driver back in the bag, and I just use a 3-wood, really nice draw off the tee here because I'm just trying to settle things down. My mind was spiraling a little bit, and I realized that I basically had to par out to even get close to 80 here. So although I had a really good shot here, I did not have a good approach, was just a little bit heavy on the pitch, but thankfully I finally have a good chip, so that just nestles down there, gives me a par, and now I'm feeling a little bit better. One of the easiest pieces of advice to give to people in golf is to just forget about what's happened and focus on what's next. But for any of us who have actually played golf for a long time, you know that that is really hard to do. And that one of the best ways to actually start to rewire your brain is you need to put together 2 good holes in a row. So I just came off a par, which was thankfully from a good chip, and now this next hole was almost as clean as I could play it. Right in the middle of the fairway, good approach onto a safe spot of the green, 2 putt for par, and now I'm starting to remember that this is how you make golf easier. You don't have to be a hero, and I decided to pull out my driver again because it's super wide up here, and although it wasn't a great shot, I ended up in the fescue, and this is a par 5, so I'm reminding myself, just play it easy. That was the easiest swing that I could give that thing with a 6-iron to just bump and run as far up as I could. I leave myself about 100 yards into the green here, and this is a nice confident range for me that I just pull out the 56 degree and I kind of give it a good forceful 3/4 swing, just making sure that I compress that ball, get some good spin, and you can see that I left that really close. So all of a sudden I have a very makeable birdie opportunity here again. It just misses, but that is now 3 straight par, and my confidence is starting to come back, even though I almost missed that putt. So because the confidence is there, I decide let's bring that driver out again. I don't want to spray it left, so I was just really committed to a forceful draw swing there. Left a really good range for me again, almost an identical approach as the last shot. And my main goal with this one was to miss a little bit short because the pin was tucked pretty far back on the green and there really wasn't a lot of place to miss, and I did not want to have to pull out the chip shot again. So even though I had a bad read on this putt, it is a nice easy tap-in par again. And I've actually put together a few good holes here, which is important because remember how I said that I thought I bogeyed the second hole? Well, I was thinking that on this hole, I only had 3 holes to go and I needed to make a birdie on at least one of them in order to break 80. So you could see that my tee shot was too aggressive and terrible. And then my 5-wood approach was too aggressive and I topped it. But thankfully, I get a nice little butt slap from my friend here on my 3rd shot because that approach was pin high and I gave myself a look at a birdie but just left it a little bit low of the hole. I tap in for par. And I am still on pace to break 80 here if I par out, but I'm still thinking that I need to have a birdie on one of these next 2 holes. It's not ideal when this is a tough downhill par 3 that I just got too aggressive there. You can see I almost swung out of my shoes, missed it off to the side of the green, and this was a really important lag putt that I did very nicely, just short, tap in par. So now I go to the 18th hole, thinking I need a birdie in order to shoot 79, not realizing that I actually just need to par it. And I put almost a perfect swing on this. That's probably the nicest shot I've had for the entire day. It was well down there with the driver. I left a very makeable approach here. I'm only about 70 yards into the green, but I just slightly miscalculated it. Maybe the adrenaline was running, sent it long, and you can see how I felt.
That was the chance, and I let it slip away.
I was now of the mindset that I basically had to chip in order to birdie. And although it doesn't go in, I do manage to tap in the par putt, and I strung together a really good back 9. You can see that after that double bogey on 10 and the bogey on 11, it was all pars from there. So hopefully this is your reminder that in order to break 80, you certainly don't need to play perfect golf. You're going to be making mistakes. It's just about trying to limit them as best as you can, settle back down, and you'll get there.